Bruno Colella, the director, had been coming to my parties in Rome, and my parties are kind of open. I didn't know who he was. He was a guest of one of my other guests, and strangely, I noticed that every time he came to my parties, he was getting his hair cut there. Now, Bruno Colella is the director of My Italy, and that's how I got to know him, as this strange character who got his hair cut at my parties while people were dancing and the band was playing live music and the chef was serving delicious Italian food to everyone, and it was very wild, and I did it many times. So then I became friends with him, and at one point he invited me to his house for a small dinner party, and he said, "I'd like to make a movie about you." And when you see the movie, you'll see how that is an important statement, because there are four artists in the movie, and they all believe that they are the main star of the movie, that they are the protagonist. And I still don't know if Bruno was telling the truth, because it really seemed to be all about me at first. He said, "I want to do a documentary about you." And he just started shooting me. He didn't talk about any other artists, and we shot for a long time. And suddenly he says that the great genius art critic Achille Bonito Oliva, who's the most famous art critic in Italy, along with Vittorio Sgarbi, they're tied. But Achille is the grand contemporary art expert. Achille came along and said, "I'll be in your movie too, but you should get some other artists in there too, not just Kostabi. Kostabi's great, but let's get Lim in there and Bednarski and Thorsten Kirchhoff, and then it'll really be interesting to get more people in there." So I had to change the contract, because I was actually going to get some pennies when this movie starts making money as the sole protagonist. And Bruno said, "Oh, we have three other artists now. We got to change the contract." And I said, "Okay, well, they're all friends of mine, and the more the merrier." I went along with it, and we filmed a lot in Naples, in Rome, and a little bit in New York. They filmed in Poland. But it happened like that. And now I'm really good friends with Bruno Colella, and the thing that I love about this movie is that it's very accurate about who people really are. Like Bruno Colella, he's an absolute genius, but he's kind of a freeloader, kind of a shyster. In the movie, he plays this slightly not to be trusted movie director, producer guy, and he's taken advantage of his assistant, and it's all true. He behaves like that. He's the kind of guy you meet for dinner, and everyone thinks that we're going Dutch, and everyone's going to pay their own bill, and then Bruno will leave before the dinner's over, and to avoid paying the bill or something. He does that in real life. Anytime he can get a free meal, he'll go for it. Even though he has an award-winning director, but movie directors aren't rich; they have to freeload, and so he freeloads off people like me, a rich and famous artist who lives in New York and Rome, and therefore was invited to be in the movie called My Italy, which, by the way, I titled. I gave him the idea for the title. He doesn't deny that. First of all, I don't cook, so I eat out all the time. And after the third time that I go to a restaurant, one of the waiters says, "Hey, that's Kostabi. He's the guy who designed album covers for Guns N' Roses, and you should meet him." And then the owner comes to me and says, "Maestro, che bello di vederti. You should give me a painting." And I said, "That would be great. You should give me a lifetime tab so I don't have to pay with money." And that's what happens in real life. So I have all these paintings in high-end restaurants throughout Rome and New York, and I have this lifetime tab thing going on there, and that's part of the movie. So one of the restaurants that I have a lifetime tab in is called Antica Pesa. It's in Via Garibaldi, number 18, in Trastevere, and it's Sofia Loren's favorite restaurant. It also happens to be the favorite restaurant of many movie stars, and they all eat there, from everyone from Robert De Niro to Al Pacino to Lady Gaga and Madonna, and there's no movie star that doesn't eat at this restaurant called Antica Pesa, including Sofia Loren, and it's full of my art, gigantic paintings, and they opened a branch in Brooklyn recently. And, people like Leonardo DiCaprio went there on opening night. So it's instant success. And I'm involved with that restaurant because I have my paintings there, and Basically, I don't have to pay, but you know, it's a little iffy because if I went every night, then they might get annoyed. But I go every once in a while, twice a month or so. So one night, the owner said, "Oh, Sofia Loren's here. Do you want to meet her?" And in a minute, I was ushered into the secret back dining room, and I was sitting next to Sofia Loren at dinner, and I was starstruck and nervous, and she calmed me down by holding my hand, and we talked, and I got to know her, and I was starstruck by her, and decided to make a painting of her. And then I met her another 2 times, always at that same restaurant, and I'm like a well-known artist, but I'm one thing I have in common with Andy Warhol is that I like to meet celebrities and be photographed with them. I like the attention. It helps. It's exciting. It boosts the ego, but it also helps marketing because you know when Elvis met the Pope, it helped his legend, so to speak. And I met the Pope too. I did a portrait of the Pope. And Sofia has dinner with the cardinals. The Pope can't eat at Antica Pesa, but it was through that restaurant that I got a commission to do a sculpture of the Pope. But Sofia is very religious and eats with these cardinals in the secret back dining room. So when the movie started being shot, Bruno Colella had the idea to involve my painting of her and to bring it to Naples and to find a home for it. And so I'm there. I'm talking about how I brought Sofia back home to her hometown because she was from Pozzuolo, which is part of Naples, sort of, or next to it. And then I'm looking for a restaurant to put it in. Okay, now I'm a professional actor, but when I started this movie, I was not. I was a well-known artist, very successful, arguably famous, but I didn't go to acting school. And the thing I will remember the most about being involved with this movie was the life of an actor. And I don't know how they did it before the internet. I guess they brought a paperback book. Because it's a lot of waiting. You have to wait. You know, the director tells you to show up at 8 in the morning, you know, for your shot, and then the shot doesn't happen until midnight. I mean, or at least till noon, 4 hours later. And so there's a lot of waiting, and I enjoyed that though. And also I was told things like to slow down. You know, in movies things don't always have to go as fast as they do in your stressful, frenetic life. You know, walk slower. You know, when I had scenes with short actors, but we had to be the same size on camera. So there were 2 ways to do it. And apparently with Sylvester Stallone, they put him on a little pedestal so he looks taller than he actually is. We didn't have a pedestal when I had to be in shots with shorter actors. So I had to like bend down and be like in this very uncomfortable half kneeling position while pretending to act. And then Bruno told me this is standard in the industry. You got to do your lines while you're bending down, so you look the same height. And then he taught me so much about how to be an actor, and I was acting with real professional actors. So it was a tremendously valuable, wonderful experience. And the waiting was actually no problem because I had my iPhone.